So in today's world, there's nothing we all crave more than some certainty, but as the saying goes, be careful what you wish for. So we all can relate to the desire to have control, to have some degree of certainty. But for those of us who have some experience in grabbing onto those that can admit it, we also know that it can often have unintended consequences, which were not what we had in mind when we set out to do so. So that's what I want to touch on in this week's commentary, which is some of the things that I've seen investors do over 20 plus years in multiple bear markets to grasp for certainty during uncertain times that actually is to their own detriment. The first is misconstruing volatility with risk. Volatility is a temporary change in value. Risk is a permanent loss in capital. Volatility is a price we all have to pay as investors to make money over time, but it does not have to be the risk that so many people think it is. People look at it, I've heard this countless times in bear markets from people say, yeah, but if it goes down like this every day forever, I won't have anything left. I understand that. I'm certainly empathetic to the emotion. It's not logically what's going to play out, and when you can usually calm people down, they recognize that too. Risk, selling into a bear market and going to cash, waiting until you feel different, holding too much cash for too long or indefinitely, which we saw a lot of people do out of 2008 who never wanted to go through that again, buying low yielding annuities. It's true, they don't come with a lot of volatility, but they actually come with a lot of risk. They come with risk not only in terms of locking in losses, they come with risk in terms of underperforming inflation and really devaluing your purchase power indefinitely over time. And that's, of course, what we want to help you all avoid. And if you're walking through any types of those trade-offs and need that second opinion, that help to make sure you're seeing all the big picture, reach out on that note anytime. The second big area that I see people grasp for certainty is in falsehoods. So there's three big falsehoods. There's false profits, there's false feelings, and then there's head fakes, false market movements that can lure people in to, again, hoping they found that path forward. These markets are notorious for bringing out all the I told you soers, or all the people who say, subscribe to this, follow me, I know what happens next. That's simply not true. We're not telling you we know what happens next, and anybody who's telling you that they called this or that they can call what's going to come the future, no matter how convincingly they sell it to you, is lying to you for their own profit and, again, to your own detriment. You would no more follow a weatherman who had walked around the last 10 Julys in a raincoat with an umbrella then you should follow around any of these people who are telling you they can predict the market movement because they finally had a bear market come to fruition. The second is false feelings. Having these conversations a lot, the feelings are real. Again, the same part of our brain that gets triggered by mortal danger gets triggered by losing money. I'm going to say it over and over and over again so you can really grasp how illogical most any of us would be left to our own devices if we felt like we were in mortal danger, to how we feel like when we're losing money, but also to show yourself some grace. It's a natural feeling, but what we need to do is have the partnerships and the discipline to not have those feelings turn into action. And so if you find yourself saying things like, well, I'm going to get out, I'll get back in when it feels different, or as soon as I feel like it's all clear, then I'll be ready to go. History has shown us time and time again, it's too late. And there's usually a very big cost to following that type of approach. Lastly are fake market movements. So I touched on this in a little bit in last week's commentary. Bear markets do not end in a day. They don't end in a week. They do end, to my earlier point, but be careful about getting sucked into head fakes. I had a handful of friends, people reach out last week saying, hey, should we get in? Market's really starting to move up. As I told you last Friday, I'll tell you again, no. You do let this thing settle out. We're not all out, we're not all in. We're following a process. That process has very set levels, things that we're looking for that we set in advance of going through this market. So with that, I just want to leave you with this, which is, again, is our process, is how we can most constructively focus all of our time and attention. This bear market does not catch us by surprise. Matt, who's on the other side of this lens, asked me in this week's weekly 10 that went out from a conversation he and I had a week or so ago, weren't there signs of this? There are always signs, though. That's the problem. It reminds me of the scene in Anchorman where they're talking about the effectiveness of a cologne. Market timing signals are about as effective as that cologne in Anchorman, which you might recall them saying worked 40% of the time, 100% of the time. It's not something that you can rely on. The signs are always there because they're always there, but the market moves past them, through them, the majority of the time. What you have to have is a process that works through bear markets and bull markets. You have to be willing to give up some in the bear market to not totally get crushed during the bear market. And so for those of you who are clients, familiar with our process, those parts of your portfolios that you understandably asked, why do we have this thing that doesn't do a whole lot and you're telling me is only designed to go up 2 or 3% a year? It's because it's the same thing not getting smoked today that we can rely on to get us through this period and help you keep your plan, keep your retirement on track. To that end, rather than focusing on Dow points, rather than wasting your time reading these newsletters from these false prophets trying to sell you gold or their newsletter or their market timing calls or whatever else they're trying to sell you, put your time into asking yourself, what things in hindsight now do you wish you would have addressed beforehand? Maybe that's getting a plan in place, finishing a plan, better understanding the plan. The fact that you were in too risky of a portfolio in hindsight for your tolerance. Those are the things that, again, will help get you to a better place both now and in the future that we would love to help you or anyone else that you know who's struggling with those things with during such times. To close it up, be careful of grasping for those things that are certainty, whether it's the illusion of no volatility, the false prophet who tells you they know how to predict the future, or again, just those feelings that can cripple you during times like this, and put those to better use. Know that we're here to help you with any of those things. Know that we're here if you just need to have a positive conversation. Have people who reach out who will tell me, I'm sorry to bug you. You're not. These are the times that I find so much meaning in being able to talk both with clients or even other people within the community and be of help. You give my life, you give those of us here at 10 Capital's lives so much meaning to be here for you during these times. With that, hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you soon.